Beloved, life is not static. It is a journey of seasons. Just as the earth rotates and the sun rises and sets, our lives are constantly shifting from one stage to another. Seasons come and seasons go. Some seasons are marked by harvest and joy, others by pruning and tears. But in every shift, there lies a divine purpose. You cannot control the change of the season, but you can decide how you respond to it. You can either resist the shift and remain stuck, or you can seize the moment and step into purpose. When the season shifts, the question is not whether you're ready, it is whether you're willing. Because every shift brings both uncertainty and opportunity. Every shift requires you to let go of what was comfortable to embrace what is purposeful. And if you dare to move with the shift, you will discover that the change was not designed to break you, but to prepare you for what's next. Seasons change whether we are ready for them or not, and in that reality is one of the most powerful truths of life. You may find yourself in a place where the winds of change blow against you, shaking everything you thought was steady and secure. But you must remember that while the season is temporary, the purpose remains eternal. Purpose is not a fleeting thing. It is not subject to the rise and fall of circumstances. It does not disappear simply because the environment around you shifts. A tree that stands in the winter may look barren and lifeless, stripped of all its leaves and beauty, yet deep beneath the soil its roots are alive, carrying life that is unseen to the natural eye. In the same way, your purpose is anchored beneath the surface of your present reality, and no season has the authority to uproot what has been planted within you. The world may look at your condition and assume that your best days are gone. But what they cannot see is the seed of destiny buried in your spirit, waiting for its appointed time to bloom again. There are moments when everything around you seems to be fading, relationships drift away, opportunities dry up, resources dwindle, and it feels as if you are left empty-handed, but emptiness is not the same as purposelessness. Emptiness can be the very space where new purpose emerges. Just as a farmer must let the soil rest between harvests so that it may regain strength for the next planting, sometimes life demands that you endure a season of stillness and barrenness, not because your future has died, but because your purpose is gathering strength for the next release. Do not measure the power of your destiny by the current appearance of your circumstances, because appearances are deceiving. Winter does not mean death. It means preparation for spring. You must not let your faith shrink with the season. If you allow the temporary shifts of life to dictate your belief in your calling, then you will forever live at the mercy of circumstances. Purpose was not designed to bow to seasons. Seasons were designed to reveal purpose. Every season, whether joyous or painful, abundant or lacking, is a stage in the unfolding drama of your destiny. That is why the person who learns to stand firm when seasons change is the one who discovers that purpose carries endurance, resilience, and authority. It cannot be suffocated by the cold of winter or erased by the storms of life. Instead, purpose shines brightest when the season seems darkest, because it is then that you are forced to lean on what you cannot see and trust in what you cannot feel. The danger comes when you confuse a passing season with a permanent state. Many people give up on their dreams, abandon their callings, and lose their fire because they believe that the season they are in defines their future. But if you stop in the middle of the journey, you will never witness the harvest that lies ahead. The struggle you face now is only a part of the story, not the end of it. When you hold on to purpose, you learn to weather storms with grace, because you understand that storms are seasonal, but purpose is eternal. You learn to endure nights of loneliness because you know that even if everyone walks away, the assignment on your life has not expired. Sometimes seasons of hardship reveal the deepest dimensions of your calling. When resources are stripped, when people abandon you, when comfort is removed, you discover strength you did not know you had. You discover creativity you never tapped into. You uncover resilience that surprises even you. This is the mystery of shifting seasons. They force you to find the treasure of purpose buried within your soul. Without change, you would never grow. Without storms, you would never learn to sail. Without winter, you would never appreciate the beauty of spring. Every shift is an invitation to return to what cannot be shaken, and that is your God-given purpose. So when everything changes, do not panic. Do not measure your future by the instability of the moment. Remember that seasons are cycles, they come and go, but purpose stands forever. The branches may break, the leaves may fall, the winds may howl, but the roots hold strong. And as long as the roots remain, the tree still lives. And as long as purpose breathes in you, nothing in this world can take away what was ordained for your life. There are times in life when the greatest weight we carry is not the burden of where we are going, but the burden of what we refuse to release. Letting go of yesterday is one of the hardest demands life will ever make, because yesterday is familiar, it is comfortable, and it is what we know. Even when yesterday was filled with pain, disappointment, or brokenness, there is still a strange attachment to it, because the heart often clings to what is familiar, even if it no longer serves the future. Holding on to what has already expired can paralyze the soul and keep us from embracing the new season that is waiting. You cannot walk forward into the promise of tomorrow while your arms are full of yesterday's baggage. The weight of old friendships that no longer have the capacity to walk with you. The echo of opportunities that closed their doors. The shadow of failures that you replay in your mind. All of these things anchor you to a past that no longer has the authority to define you. When you study the cycles of life, you notice that there is always a process of release before there is a process of renewal. The trees shed their leaves in the fall not because they are dying, but because they are preparing for new growth. If the tree clung to its dead leaves, there would be no room for fresh life to emerge when spring comes. In the same way, many of us have missed the new because we refuse to let go of the old. We stay loyal to what was, and in doing so, we miss what is to come. Yesterday's relationships may have been necessary for a certain stage of your life, but if you try to drag them into the next, you will discover that they weigh you down rather than lift you up. Yesterday's mindset may have been enough to sustain you where you were, but it cannot carry you where you are destined to go. There is always pain in release. Letting go feels like loss, even when what you are letting go of is no longer healthy for you. That is because the human heart was designed for connection, and detachment feels unnatural. But what feels unnatural is often what is necessary. It takes courage to unclench your fists and open your hands, to stop trying to control what has already slipped away, and to surrender to the truth that what left was not meant to destroy you, but to free you. Sometimes the people who walked away from you had to leave so that you could finally stand on your own feet. Sometimes the doors that closed were not rejection, but protection. Sometimes the opportunities that slipped through your fingers were never truly yours because they would have kept you confined to a place that was beneath your calling. Letting go of yesterday also requires confronting the bitterness and regret that try to chain you to the past. It is not enough to release what was physically, you must release it emotionally and mentally. Replaying the mistakes you made rehearsing the betrayals you endured, or obsessing over the chances you missed will only rob you of the strength you need for today. You cannot heal if you keep picking at the wound, and you cannot move forward if your eyes are fixed behind you. Freedom begins with forgiveness, not only for others, but for yourself. Forgive yourself for the decisions you regret. Forgive yourself for the seasons when you did not know better, and forgive yourself for the times you fell short. Release the bitterness, release the guilt, release the shame, because those things belong to yesterday, not today. The reason life requires us to let go of yesterday is because destiny demands empty hands. You cannot seize purpose while clutching the past. Imagine trying to receive a gift with your arms filled with clutter. It is impossible. Destiny places something new into your life only when you make room for it. There must be space created for the vision, the opportunity, the relationship, the breakthrough that is aligned with your future. That is why the shedding of the past always precedes the arrival of the new. If you resist the release, you delay the renewal. If you cling to what has expired, you prolong the season of waiting. Letting go is not a sign of weakness. It is an act of strength. It takes greater faith to trust what is ahead than to cling to what is behind. It takes greater vision to walk into the unknown than to hide in the shadows of what was familiar. And though it hurts to release what you thought you could not live without, the truth is that you are being set free to discover what you cannot live without fulfilling. The past was a chapter, but it was never the whole book. To turn the page, you must loosen your grip. To walk into tomorrow, you must step out of yesterday. The shift into a new season will always require the release of an old one, and the hands that are willing to let go are the same hands that will be strong enough to hold the future. Every new season carries within it a measure of uncertainty, and it is in that uncertainty that many people falter. The human heart craves security. It longs for clarity. It wants to see the entire path before taking the first step. But the truth of destiny is that clarity rarely comes before movement. Faith was never designed to show you every detail. Faith was designed to give you the courage to move even when the details are hidden. To embrace the unknown is to trust that there is something beyond what your eyes can see, something bigger than your calculations, something greater than your fear. You cannot demand to have every answer before you step out, because if you had all the answers, there would be no need for courage, no need for trust, no need for the kind of boldness that growth requires. The unknown is not your enemy. It is the proving ground of your faith. It is the arena where purpose begins to unfold. If you wait for life to give you certainty, you will wait forever, because certainty is an illusion. Life does not promise clarity, but it does promise opportunity. The ones who walk into the unknown are the ones who discover that opportunities do not reveal themselves until after the step is taken. Doors do not swing open until you approach them. Paths do not emerge until you start walking. The ground does not appear until you take the step. Those who wait for everything to be laid out before them will never move. And those who never move will never see the fullness of their destiny. The unknown is where transformation occurs. It is in the unfamiliar that you are forced to grow. When you no longer have the safety net of predictability, you learn to tap into resilience, creativity, and resourcefulness that you did not even know you had. In the comfort of the familiar, you can survive on autopilot, repeating the same motions without stretching yourself. But in the unknown, you must rely on new skills, new strategies, and new levels of trust. You must lean into instincts that were dormant, call upon strengths that were hidden, and discover capacities that only uncertainty could awaken. It is the challenge of not knowing that forces you to truly live. The unknown also humbles the soul because it strips away the illusion of control. We are conditioned to believe that if we plan carefully enough, prepare thoroughly enough, or work hard enough, we can control the outcomes of our lives. But when you step into the unknown, you realize that outcomes are never fully in your hands. You can sow, but you cannot control the harvest. You can knock, but you cannot control which doors will open. You can plan, but you cannot predict every twist in the road. The unknown reminds you that there is something greater orchestrating the seasons of your life. Something beyond your ability to manipulate, something that requires your surrender. To embrace the unknown is also to embrace vulnerability. Vulnerability is uncomfortable because it exposes the possibility of failure, of rejection, of disappointment. But vulnerability is also the birthplace of courage. If you never put yourself in a position where you could fail, you will never experience what it means to succeed. If you never risk rejection, you will never know the joy of acceptance. If you never risk disappointment, you will never taste the sweetness of breakthrough. The unknown carries risk, but it also carries reward, and the reward always outweighs the risk when you are willing to step out. Fear thrives in the unknown, whispering every possible outcome that could go wrong. Fear paints pictures of disaster and convinces you that stepping out will destroy you. But fear is a liar, and the only power it has is the power you give it. The unknown does not have to be a place of fear. It can be a place of discovery. What if the unknown is not the end but the beginning? What if the thing you are afraid to step into is the very place where your purpose will be revealed? What if the risk you are afraid to take is the doorway to the life you have been praying for? The unknown is not empty. It is filled with potential, waiting for the brave to uncover it. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, every transformation begins in the unknown. History is filled with men and women who dared to step where there was no map, to walk where there was no path, to believe when there was no evidence. They were willing to move without knowing the outcome, and in their movement, they changed the world. What separates them from those who remain stuck is not intelligence, not resources, not connections, but the willingness to step into uncertainty. The unknown does not demand perfection. It only demands courage. It does not require that you know everything. It only requires that you trust enough to move. You may not know how it will work, when it will happen, or who will walk with you. But you must believe that if you step into the unknown, the path will reveal itself in time. Each step will unlock the next. Each risk will open a door. Each act of faith will uncover a piece of the purpose that was hidden from view. The unknown is not something to avoid. It is something to embrace, because in the mystery of what you cannot see lies the revelation of who you are meant to become. Transformation is never birthed in the comfort of what is familiar. Growth is the child of disruption, the offspring of discomfort, the result of being stretched beyond the borders of what feels safe. We crave stability, we desire ease. We long for life to move smoothly without friction, but the truth is that nothing of real substance is formed in ease. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Gold is refined by fire. Seeds break only when buried in darkness. Discomfort is not the enemy. It is the evidence that something new is being created within you. When the season shifts, the ground beneath your feet will shake, and the walls you leaned on for security will tremble, not because you are failing, but because transformation requires disturbance. The cocoon is never comfortable for the caterpillar. It is a place of confinement, restriction, isolation, and struggle. Yet it is in that confined place that wings begin to form. And the creature that once crawled is transformed into one that can soar. Without the cocoon, there is no butterfly. Without discomfort, there is no transformation. The very thing that feels like it is suffocating you is the process that is equipping you. The tightness you feel, the frustration you wrestle with, the pressure that bears down on you, all of it is a signal that change is happening at a deeper level. The struggle is not against you. It is working in you, shaping you into the version of yourself that can carry the weight of your destiny. Discomfort strips away illusions. When everything is easy, we convince ourselves that we are stronger than we really are, that we are in control, that we do not need to change. But when discomfort comes, when pressure mounts, when storms rise, the mask is removed and the truth is revealed. Discomfort reveals weaknesses that must be strengthened, mindsets that must be shifted, habits that must be broken. It forces you to confront the places within you that you would rather ignore. Growth does not come from pretending. It comes from facing what is real. And discomfort is the light that exposes what is hidden. There is also a divine purpose in the friction you face. Friction produces fire, and fire produces refinement. When metal is heated, its impurities rise to the surface, so they can be removed, leaving behind something stronger and purer. In the same way, the fire of discomfort exposes what does not belong in your life. It brings to the surface the fear you must conquer, the bitterness you must release, the doubt you must silence. It shows you the attitudes and attachments that cannot go with you into the next season. If you did not face the fire, you would carry baggage that would weigh you down. Discomfort is not punishment, it is preparation. To resist discomfort is to resist transformation. If you run back to what is comfortable every time you feel the stretch, you will remain the same. But if you lean into the stretch, you will discover new strength. Muscles only grow when they are torn under resistance. Likewise, the soul expands when it is stretched by pressure. The tears you shed, the questions you wrestle with, the pain you endure are all part of the process of enlarging your capacity. You cannot carry greater purpose with the same level of strength you had in your last season. You must be stretched to hold more. Discomfort also develops resilience. When you walk through seasons that push you to the edge, you learn that you are capable of more than you thought. You discover that the things you feared would break you did not destroy you, they built you. Every obstacle you overcame became proof that you could endure the next. Every storm you survived became evidence that you were stronger than the winds. Every setback that could have crushed you became a stepping stone to greater endurance. Resilience is not built in ease, it is forged in the fire of discomfort. Transformation is a process, and processes are often messy. You will not always understand what is happening. You will not always feel strong. You will not always look like you are winning. But beneath the surface, something is shifting. Just as a seed breaks in the soil before it rises above the ground, your breaking is not the end, it is the beginning of your becoming. Discomfort is the sound of your shell cracking open, of your old limitations being destroyed, of your future self being born. The more intense the discomfort, the greater the transformation that is taking place. And though it may feel unbearable at times, the truth is that discomfort is temporary, but transformation is permanent. The struggle will pass, but what is produced in you will remain. You will emerge with greater wisdom, deeper strength, broader vision, and a capacity you never imagined. The pressure will not crush you, it will shape you. The fire will not consume you, it will refine you. The confinement will not kill you, it will prepare you to fly. Discomfort is the language of transformation And those who learn to endure it discover that the very thing they feared was the very thing that formed them. Timing is one of the most misunderstood elements of destiny, yet it is one of the most important. You cannot rush what is meant to unfold slowly, and you cannot cling to what is already finished. Everything under the sun moves according to seasons, and every season has its appointed time. The difficulty comes when desire collides with delay, when your hunger for what is next makes you restless in the present. You may feel ready, you may feel equipped, you may feel like you have waited long enough, but readiness does not determine timing. Timing is orchestrated by a higher wisdom, one that sees the pieces of the puzzle you cannot yet see. When you move ahead of the appointed moment, you step out of alignment, and alignment matters more than eagerness. If a seed is planted in the ground before the soil has been properly prepared, it will wither. If it is planted too late, the window for growth has already passed. Purpose flourishes not just when you step into it, but when you step into it at the right time. Divine timing is not always convenient. Sometimes it interrupts your plans, it disrupts your comfort, it challenges your patience. You may have built your own schedule, made your own plans, mapped out your own vision, only to discover that what you expected to happen in one season has been delayed to another. Delay does not mean denial, it means development. Time is not wasted when it is spent in preparation. The unseen seasons, the quiet seasons, the frustrating seasons, all of them are a part of timing. A tree that bears fruit too early cannot sustain its harvest because the branches have not had enough time to grow strong enough to carry the weight. In the same way, rushing into opportunities before the proper time can cause collapse instead of success. There are also moments when the season shifts before you feel ready and the timing comes sooner than expected. The door opens, the opportunity appears, and suddenly you are thrust into something you did not plan for. You may feel unqualified, you may feel unprepared, but timing does not ask if you are comfortable. It simply presents the window. It is in those moments that you must trust that preparation has already been happening in ways you could not see. The struggles you endured, the lessons you learned, the resilience you built were all silent rehearsals for the moment when timing would call your name. Readiness is not always visible. Sometimes it is buried beneath the surface, waiting for the right season to be revealed. Recognizing timing requires sensitivity. Life gives signals when a season is closing and when another is opening. You may feel an uneasiness where you once felt peace, a restlessness in places where you were once content. Opportunities that used to flow may begin to dry up. Doors that were wide open may suddenly close. These are not accidents, they are signs, just as nature signals the changing of the seasons. The leaves turning colors, the air shifting in temperature. Your spirit and circumstances often signal when the timing is changing. To ignore those signals is to risk missing the transition. To pay attention is to position yourself for alignment. One of the greatest challenges in life is to trust timing when it does not match your expectations. We live in a world that worships speed, where faster is considered better, where success is measured by how quickly you can achieve it. But destiny does not operate by human speed. What is built too quickly often lacks foundation. What is rushed into without patience often lacks depth. Purpose is not about how fast you arrive, but about how fully you are prepared when you arrive. Waiting is not wasted time, it is shaping time. Every season of waiting is forming character, building endurance, deepening wisdom, and expanding capacity. Timing also requires release. You cannot hold on to what has expired simply because you fear the unknown of what comes next. When a season is over, No amount of effort can resurrect it. When the fruit has been harvested, the tree must rest before the next cycle. If you insist on clinging to what was, you will miss the opening to what is. Releasing what no longer fits is an act of trust in the timing of your life. It is the acknowledgement that endings are not always failures. Sometimes they are necessary for beginnings to unfold. There is a rhythm to life, and when you learn to move in sync with that rhythm, you discover peace even in uncertainty. To recognize divine timing is to understand that everything has a place, everything has a season, and everything unfolds in its proper order. You may not always understand the why, and you may not always see the full picture, but the rhythm is steady. Just as the tide moves in and out, just as day follows night, so too does timing move with precision. To walk in step with it is to move with confidence, knowing that what is for you cannot be taken if you wait for the appointed moment. And what is not for you will fall away no matter how hard you try to hold it.